Parachat Tetzave. So this week's parasha, Vata Tetzave-Be Israel, V'ikhu lecha shemen zayit zach. So Akash Baruch Hu is asking Bnei Israel to bring pure oil, but not some pure oil. Today they say all the oil, virgin oil, pure oil, cold press, v'akol shtuyot, right? Everything is, why? Because everything is falsified. They catched, the last few years, they're mixing into the oil of oil, they're mixing canola oil.
Wow.
And they're selling at the same price all. So now, you can say, kashrus-wise, that there's an OU, there's no problem. But you know where's the problem? Pesach. Because Pesach, Ashkenazim cannot need kitniot. So if they mix canola is kitniot. So that's the problem. Okay, for Ashkenazim. But Ashkenazim are Jews also. They're also our brothers, right? And you pay the same price, right? You pay the same price as olive oil, but you're getting canola mix, right? So, Be'emet, the Torah is saying, not stam oil, katit. And Rashi is bringing a Mishnah. And the thing is, Rashi doesn't bring the full Mishnah. Rashi says, maze katit, what's katit? If you take an olive tree, the top of the tree is the best olives. Why? Because those olives get the sun directly on them. And the more you get the sun, the more ripe the fruit is, which is the olive, right? And then the oil comes out easier. So what do? She says, you do not put the olives, right, into the grinder. Because if you grind the olives like they do usually, it's a grinder, a lot of all kinds of impurities, like pieces of the pit, pieces of the olive, they come out and it's not zach anymore, right? So what do? Samotam b'machteshet. You smash them, a drop, and the first drop that comes out, 1 or 2 drops, that's katit. Imagine how many olives you need for the menorah. If every olive can give you only two drops, right? The rest is not thrown. The rest of the olive is used for menachot. You can use the rest of the olive for menachot, right? But for the menorah, katit, pure of the pure, right? They asked Rav Chaim Kanievsky once, but one second, this is not, Rashi just brings this as a commentary. It's a Mishnah, right? And this Mishnah is not fully brought because the hemshech of the Mishnah is you can bring also the olive from the middle of the tree, and you can bring also the olives from the bottom of the tree. Just as a choice, you'll pick the ones on top. Then, second choice, you'll pick the ones on the middle, right? Just the ones that are outside of the tree, right? Not the ones inside the tree. And third choice will be to choose the ones on the bottom, but again, outside the tree. So they get some sunlight and they'll be a little bit more ripe than the rest of the olives there. What's the limud in that? Everything has a limud. It's not stam a mitzvah. There's also a limud. So they asked Rav Chaim Kanievsky, Rav Chaim, what can we learn from that? So he says, it teaches you to be the best of the best. Which means what? If you're really, like they say, a good cop, you have a good head. Kosh Baruch Hu gave you chokhmah, right? Try to be the best of the best. This is the olives on top. Some people are average. They're in the middle of the tree. But even average, try to be the best of the average, right? And even if you don't have so much chokhmah, the Kosh Baruch Hu didn't give you, and you're on the bottom of the tree, but try to be the best of the bottom. Always try to be the best of the best. And this is what Chaim said. I think also we see it in the Gemara, when Rish Lakish arguing with Rabbi Yochanan, and they got to a fight. They got to a real fight. So Rabbi Yochanan told them, "Oh, you are a listim. You are used to be a robber, right? And you know exactly when the sword would get pure and impure, because they were arguing about the sword, right, which was just done by the blacksmith, right? And napach wasat acherev, he did the sword, but the sword is still soft. How do you make it into a real sword hard? You dip it into cold water, and then the metal catches, hardens, and then becomes a sword. So the question is, when it's soft, is it already mekabel tuma or lo mekabel tuma? So Rish Lakish says lo mekabel, and Rabbi Chanan says mekabel tuma, right? So as they were arguing back and forth, so as a joke, Rabbi Chanan is telling Rish Lakish, "You are ganav, you are used to use swords, so you know in this stuff." So he got offended. He took it. Sometimes you tell people jokes. Exactly, that clicks in the head. He takes it just the opposite. The guy goes wild. What did I say? I said a joke. Also with your wife, you should be careful, right? Sometimes you say a joke and she's not in the mood and she goes wild on you and the whole shlom bayit. But you really meant the joke. But you have to catch the moment, yeah? You have to know when to say jokes and when to not to say jokes. So Rabbi Rish Lakish took it so bad. So what does he say to Rabbi Yochanan? Ma ha'anit. What did you give me? Yes, maybe I used to be a robber, a pirate, right? And I used to use swords. But you know what? When I was a robber and a pirate, I was the best of the robbers. Right? So, what do you see? When you're in any situation, try to be the best of the best. Whatever Hashem gave you, try to use the best of a kochot. Right? So Rashi brings the beginning of the Mishnah. Rav Kanevsky said, the end of the Mishnah is also teaching you that the middle class and the lower class always can be best. They always can be on a high level. Then the Midrash.
What's the mila? If it's something bad, what's the mila of being the best?
Because if Hashem didn't grant you with so much chokhmah, does not mean that you should be yush. Like, say, oh, so I'm so bad, I don't have to do anything. No. Even if Hashem didn't give you the chokhmah, if Hashem didn't give you, you're not so the richest person on earth, right? Be the best of what you are. You have to be what you are. Don't look to be something else, because each one has his tikkun. Each one has his thing in the world. So don't look to say, oh, I don't have the chokhmah of this guy and I don't have the money of this guy. You have what you have. You came for a certain thing in this world. And whatever you are, try to be the best. Make the best out of yourself. That's the limud, says Rav Chaim. So it says over the Midrash brings on that, the Midrash brings on that pasuk. It says there's two places where David HaMelech speaks about candles. The first place, Ner Adonai Nishmat Adam. What's the candle of Hashem? Hashem has candles? Yeah. The neshama of a person is a candle. Then David HaMelech says, Kiner mitzvah veTorah or. What's a candle? Torah. Ner mitzvah, Torah mitzvot, it's a candle of Hashem, right? So it says the Midrash like this. Neri biyadcha. My candle is in your hands. Venercha biyadi. And your candle is in my hands, which means I gave you the Torah. I gave you my candle. Torah is a candle, so I gave you the candle. But from the other hand, right, don't forget that your neshama is in my hands, says Hashem, right? If you watch my candle, you watch Torah, I'm going to watch your candle, your neshama. You don't watch my Torah, I'm not going to watch your neshama. It's going to be taken by carried by itself. I'm not going to watch it over, right? So that's the Midrash. So the question is, why did they compare the Torah to a candle? There's so many things you can compare Torah. Compare it to olive oil, you compare so many things, I don't know. Find there's things what to find. Why David HaMelech comes Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, right? And he says that in Milchemet HaYetzer, right? From the war against the evil inclination, right? He says there's two things. Lo'osif be'ira, right? Ve'la'aktin et hanisayon. Means, when you fight Yetzer Hara, you should get a lot of Yarat Shamayim from it. And not only that, you should always make the nisayon, right, the situation you are, bring down what he's trying to push you to do, bring it down, lower it down, right? Minimize it. So we're going to explain, right? So he says, he gives an example. You go on Shabbat on the street, and you find a wallet, and you see the wallet is full of money, right? You know how to pick it up. We just learned it, muktzeh, right? Okay, so we learned there's a terim to kick it to your foot, but you kick it to your foot where? Next to a tree, next to a bush, right? You keep it, you hide it. And when say Shabbat, you come, you pick it up. There's nothing. You're in a place completely open. There's nowhere to hide it. Mata ose. So Yetzer Hara is telling you, listen, if you take it, it's going to help you in Parnasah, and you need it. It's a one time, and you can give meiser, right? You can do a lot of good things with it. Yetzer Hara comes and he starts, he gives you a terim, all kinds of things, right? So he says, what do you say? He says, no. Torah tells me not to touch it. Chachamim tell me to touch it. It's muktzeh, I'm not going to touch it, right? But the Yetzer Hara is pumping. What you should do, says Rabbi Salanter, tell yourself, hey, and what if this money is fake? If this is fake money, I touched muktzeh, I did avera, right? For fake money. So I know to met b'nisayon. So from one hand, by trying not to take it, you magdil irat shamayim. From the other end, he's trying to get you, right, to do it. What do? Maktin et hanisayon. You put down the nisayon. How? By saying to yourself, it's fake money. Is it fake money? It's not. But tell yourself, huh?
Can you tell the guy?
You can tell a goy, yeah.
Yeah, but he's not sure that he's giving it to you.
But let's say there's no goy, what are you going to do, right? There's always, but there is situations, and I'm going to give you. I saw in a sefer now. These situations, there's no way out. As you know, Rav Yaakov Kanievsky, the Stipler, the father of Chaim, he was drafted to the army, right? And there's a lot of stories about him. There's one story that he had to go out at night to Mishmar to watch, and it was like minus 50 outside. And his guard came out Shabbat. So they used to have one coat made out of fur, a big coat. Minus 50, you need a real good coat, right? And the guards used to pass it over one to another. So basically, if you're watching from 1 to 2, the guy comes 2 o'clock, 5 to 2, and you give him the coat, right, to take over. As Rav Chaim Kanievsky he had no choice, he had to go out Shabbat. As he was coming out, the guard just before him was too cold. What did he do? He took the coat and he hung it on a tree. Rav Chaim comes and he sees the coat on the tree. You cannot take it off the tree. Mausim. So he says, what? Muktzeh, I'm going to touch Muktzeh Shabbat? He decided not to touch it. But minus 50. So then he said, Mushmaltem Shotechem. So he says, you know what? Let me start learning. When you're into learning, you don't pay attention too much. And then when I'm going to get real cold, I'm going to take off the coat. Mistakanat nifashot, right? So he started learning. He was able to learn for an hour. It wasn't cold. Minus 50. He didn't pay attention to the cold. After an hour, he says, wow. So let me try again. They say over, minus 50. He didn't even pay. He was into the learning. That's one Nisayon. The second Nisayon, I want to show you that you have no choice out. In this case, he had a choice out. Like if it was Pikuach Nefesh, if he would have felt cold, he would put the coat. So it's not a raya. But there was a story about him that on Shabbat, the unit where he was in, they were chosen to go to a place where their shooting range. And they had to shoot, right, to practice, because in the winter war, and they have to practice, right? So what did they took him out, and Rav Chaim refused to practice. He told him, what? I'm going to have to shoot a gun, it makes like sparks. Okay, sparks is not an issur, it's just the Rabbanan. But Rav Chaim says, you know what, I'm not touching the gun, muktzeh, I'm not doing sparks, I don't want to do all this. So the general come over to him and says, it's not a choice. You have to come to the shooting range, you have to shoot. So he told him, I cannot, I'm Jewish, I don't do those things. So he told him, listen, I'm giving you 5 minutes to think it over. After that, you don't shoot, I shoot you. So Rav Chaim thought about it, he says, okay, do what you have to do. I cannot say anything about it. Yeah. So the guy got so impressed with his answer, he's going to kill him because he doesn't go to the shoot. He called his big boss, his big general, and he said, look, I have a soldier over here, disobeys. So the general told him, Chad Mashma'it, no way out of it. If the guy doesn't go, you shoot him. Don't be scared, shoot him. I give you orders to shoot him. He came back to Rav Chaim and says, I got orders to shoot you. If you don't go out there and shoot in the range, I shoot you. Rav Chaim saw it's really sakanat vashot. You're not allowed to moser nefesh. It's the Rabbanan, it's muktzeh. It's not one of the 3 averot, right? So Rav Chaim said, now, he says, okay, I'm going to go. But now, as he's going, his head started thinking, how do I do it? Do I do it b'shinui? I do it with as you know, Rav Chaim was a lefty.
Chaim or Stipler?
The Stipler. The Stipler was a lefty. So he said, do I do it with shinui, with my right hand? Right? Or the reason they want us to shoot is to practice. What's going to happen? If I do it with my right hand, all the bullets are going to go out of the shooting range, right? And what's going to be? I'm going to have to shoot a lot of bullets. So maybe it's better to shoot with my left hand, which I'm a lefty, right? And shoot less bullets. So Marbe B'Shurim. So his head was thinking, now what should I do? I do it the right way, less sure, or the left way. At the end, he decided to do, you know what? This is my ishtadlut. you know what, I have to shoot, but let me do the less as possible. He decided to shoot with the right hand. With the right hand. So he stands there, he aims, first bullet, boom, in the middle of the shooting range. The general saw that, he told him, wow, you are a holy man. You don't have to shoot anymore. He stopped him. He said, impossible. I know you're a lefty. How did you do it with your right hand? And getting it straight to the middle, you're a holy man. He told him, out, go back, go rest, Shabbat. Go rest, Shabbat. They say, I read in the book over there, they say, it was all over the newspaper the next day. That the guy refused, that the soldier refused because of his religious status. He refused to shoot, he was forced to, and he used his right hand, which is he's a lefty, and he got this out. Cheshbonot, you know, why was another person saying, no, listen, it's pikuach nefesh, you know, it's not. But yeah, even when the situation, why? You should know, the Torah is like a candle, it shows you the way. What does it mean like a candle? So this sefer says, you know what means a candle? A candle is when you have a candle lit and you have 100 candles, you can light 100 candles from this candle and the light will stay the same. Right? Doesn't lose from its light. The candle will never lose from its light. It will stay always the same candle. Means when you do a mitzvah, you're never going to lose, right? You're never going to lose from it. Don't think by doing a mitzvah, you're going to lose. Never you're going to lose. So don't think always, but if I do this, I'm going to miss. I'm going to tell. Rav Zilberstein, he brings down in Israel, next to Tel Aviv over there, there was a guy, he had a parking lot. Just an empty parking lot. It was nothing. It was like just a lot. Next to him was a big, successful, unfortunately, not kosher restaurant. Not kosher restaurant. So the owner comes to him, he says, your lot is empty. Listen, I have so many clients, they don't have where to park. I'm willing to rent your parking lot, right? You're talking about like 20 years back, $300 a month. It's like you said, $3,000 today. I'm going to rent your parking lot, $300 a month. Okay, he says, okay, come to me. He went to him and they signed the contract. After signing the contract, the person was the owner, he was religious. He says, what? I'm going to rent my parking lot to a not kosher restaurant? He takes the contract, tears it. He says, no deal. He says, what do you mean? You're not going to win, you're not going to make $300 a month? He says, no. If it's for not kosher, I'm not renting my place, right? He says, you're going to lose. He says, I'm not going to lose. So he goes to Rav Zilberstein. He said, don't worry, you're not going to lose. A month later, a big company comes. They want to use the parking as a parking lot also. $1,200. 4 times more. He was about to get $300. He got 4 times more. Why? From a mitzvah, you never lose. So that's why Ner, Torah, La'alot Ner Tamid, you should constantly be in Aliyah. You should constantly trying to go up. On your level, never stay on the same level. You have to try to go up, like the flame is trying to go up. You never lose from it, and try to be the best. Whatever you are, right? Try to be the best. Make the best of situations. Don't say, oh, I can't, it's not for me, it's not for the big guys. You're the big guy, right? Always try to be and that's why you should always encourage yourself, right? Always encourage yourself. So they say, that's the limud, right? From this week's parasha. Tetzave-Be elecha, right? As you know, Moshe Rabbeinu's name is not mentioned, right? But if you look in the Talmud, right? Matai shayu chachamim medabrim ze lazeh. What they used to say? Oh, Moshe, Shapir ka'amart. Talmidei chachamim used to call each other Moshe. They said, oh, Moshe, you said good. His name was not Moshe. His name was Rav Huna, Rav Baba, Rav Abaye. Ma ze Moshe? Each Talmid chacham. So that's why in this parasha it doesn't say Vaydaber Hashem el Moshe. Ve'ata, you. מי זה אתה? כל אחד ואחד. Each and every one of us. זה אתה. אתה יכול להיות משה רבנו. You can be. לעלות נר תמיד. You can always be in עלייה. Right? It's up to you. But you. If you're not going to do it, no one's going to be able to do it. Right? So you should always strive to be the best. Right? When you strive to be the best. Rosh Hashiva used to say, if you try to be the best, you're going to be a little bit lower. If you're going to try to be medium, you're going to be even lower. If you're going to try to be not so good, you're going to be even lower. You're never able to go to the top. You always get one, but if you strive very high, you're going to get to the top. right? So that's why it's a limud. We should try to be our best, right? Whatever we do, we should try to be our best. And Bezrat Hashem also succeed to do it.
Amen.
Amen.